All right, good morning. Welcome to the MBA Social Media Seminar. This is the first in a three-part series. Normally, our social media seminars are held over the course of a couple of hours and we have multiple presentations. And we know that we're all starting to experience some Zoom fatigue. So we decided this year that we're going to break it into three much shorter sessions. This is session one, and I am Eric Starkowitz. This presentation is heavily geared towards what MBA has been doing in terms of our marketing and our social media, as well as what's coming next. Ways that you can share information with the industry and ways that we can shine a spotlight on our members. We have upcoming sessions hosted by Christina Falvo from Mascaro Construction Company about selecting the platforms, which ones are best suited to you, and why it's important to make a conscious decision about which platforms you use. And that's on April 8th. And then on May 13th, Katie Stern from A. Martini and Company is going to talk about how you can create your own social media content calendar, why that's important, how to plan it out, and schedule your content. We're going to talk a little bit about MBA's social media content calendar because it is applicable to getting good information out on behalf of our members. But as far as creating one yourself, that'll be a great topic for everyone to learn more in both April and May. So where are we now? Before we begin talking about the MBA's marketing plan, I'd like to mention that there is a feature to type in your questions and answers. I believe it says Q&A at the top right of your screen. We'd appreciate it if you could put those in there rather than in the chat, if that's something that you're seeing. Put those in the Q&A, and Mary Chudowitz from the MBA will be monitoring that on my behalf. I'd also like to take this time to thank Mary for handling all of the technical things on these webinars, because I would certainly be lost without her help here. And some might think that I'm a little lost anyway, so let's continue on with the MBA's marketing plan. So a couple years ago, our board of directors tasked us with creating an overall marketing plan. As part of that plan, we created several internal documents that we've been utilizing over the years, including identity guidelines and an editorial style guide. What those documents have done is helped us to create a more consistent communications so that our materials look and feel like they're all coming from the MBA. And we've been really happy with implementing those things. We then took some of the things from that style guide and launched the MBA's website about 2 years ago now. And that's been great for engaging our members. You registered for today's event through that website, and we hope that you're continuing to find that to be a great resource of information and event registration. To kick off 2021, we launched an internal item called a monthly communications content calendar. This covers things like our flash webinars, our newsletters, our safety news, and things that come up throughout the year that we need to communicate to our membership at large. We have now launched an MBA social media plan, which is the topic of today's conversation. While many of the items are also internal to the MBA, there are several outward-facing items that I'd like to talk to you about. But first, I'd like to cover what our goals are and why we have created this plan. Number one, we want to increase member engagement and connection on these platforms. Our membership engagement has really risen on LinkedIn, and it's pretty good on Twitter, but we want to continue to drive that and make it even better. Two, we want to drive users to the MBA website. We do that by linking to resources as well as sending you on to registration and things like that. We want to reinforce MBA's purpose, leading the industry, building the region. And a really important one, number four, we want to spotlight the MBA membership. We're going to talk a little bit about two ways that we want to do that later in this presentation. We want to keep the industry updated on events, opportunities, programs, and education. And we want to make sure that we're posting consistently on MBA's social media platforms. The following slides will talk about some of the ways that we're doing that. But first, where can you find us? Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook are our primary modes of being reached on social media. LinkedIn is our most popular, followed by Twitter at a close second. Rather than trying to list the full URLs so that you can click through to those, I'd like to direct you after this to just go to mbawpa.org, and at the bottom of any page on our website, you'll see the icons for the various social media platforms. You can click through, and we hope that both you and your company will follow us, like us, etc. We also use YouTube and the MBA's website to host content, but the three platforms mentioned in bullet point number 1 are our primary modes of social media where we want to interact with you. As part of our social media plan, we've also created a social media kit. Now, this kit is used internally, but it's something that's really for our members. You can use it for your posts as well as when you're creating content that you want MBA to share. So in the top left, you'll see the 3 accounts that I mentioned, and this will come out as a PDF following the webinar. So there's no need to try to go find this stuff right now. You'll be able to just click on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn to go directly to our pages. There's also good information about choosing images, whether it be the images that you're going to submit to us for our social media or within your own. It's just a kind of a handy thing to have available to make sure you're using the proper dimensions so that it looks the best it can on each platform. And finally, there's a safety checklist. I've worked closely with Bob McCall, MBA's Director of Safety, to develop this list. It's obviously not an all-encompassing list, but it identifies some of the most critical things that we could be dinged for on a job site, and things that are easy to check for when reviewing a photo. So before you hit post, just take a quick look at this list, check off that anything that may be required is covered. And if you ever see something in a photo that just raises a question in your mind, even if you've never been on a job site in your life and it just doesn't look quite right, make sure you run that before a safety professional at your firm or at the MBA before making that post. So thank you. And our social media content calendar. This is something that, as I mentioned, is going to be covered later this year, I believe in May, by Katie Stern. Yes, May 13th, Katie's going to cover that. And I just wanted to show you a quick glimpse of the kind of thing it is. It's an annual plan that we put together. It's then broken down quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily. Every quarter, we're going to send out some information to you, and we're going to talk about that on the upcoming slides about how you can help us to help you. It is an internal document, but there is an outward facing piece, and that is highlighted here in yellow, the member spotlight. So that's what we're going to talk about here shortly. As I mentioned, the content calendars and this is something that every company should consider doing, and that's what Katie Stern's presentation on May 13th will be about, is how to get your own started. But for today's purposes, we're going to talk about the MBA content calendar. As I started to say, help us so that we can help you. We already know that our members are the best, but we want to tell the world. So this content calendar, it can look really pretty. It's an internal document, but it's only as good as the information we put into it, and we really need your input to make it work. So we'll be reaching out to our members directly, but also our industry partners. We want to hear when you have news that the industry needs to know about. There's 2 main ways that we want to hear from you. It's through these member spotlights, as well as sharing relevant posts, whether a member, a industry partner, a trade, or something like that. As I said, we know you're great. We just want to tell the world. So help us help you. Our members are going to be scheduled for these member spotlights to be featured on all of MBA's social media channels. We're going to take our full list of members, our general contractors, our specialties, and our affiliates, and we're going to randomize that list and assign dates each quarter. And then at the beginning of the quarter, prior to the beginning of the quarter, we're going to send out content requests to those members to be featured on their specific day. I really want to emphasize the point. This is your chance to brag. I know that's something we all struggle with sometimes. We don't want to pat ourselves on the back too hard and hurt our shoulders, but You don't really have to. You only have to brag to myself and Mary. We want to do the bragging for you. So give us that good news that you have. Tell us why you're the best, and let us share that on your behalf. So maybe that'll be a good way to, get our members engaged in sharing content by assigning them a specific day. That's our thought here, and then that'll get into the things that you share that we'd like to share further. There's some examples here of things that we want to hear about: your projects, your people, just company news, the percentage of work being done by union contractors on a given job. Help us to know what we need to celebrate about you. Additionally, when you have posts that come up that can't be scheduled months in advance, you win an award, you are honored, there's a topping off at one of your job sites, things that happen in the short term. We just need to be aware of it though. The amount of time it would take for us to scroll through all three of our accounts and track all 200 some members, I don't know that we would get much else done if we spent the day doing that. So we need you to make it easy for us to find your information so that we can share it and shine that light on you. So what I recommend is that you begin by referencing our social media kit that's going to be sent out following this webinar to make sure that you know which pages are which, and tag us in those posts. Now, I know sometimes, especially on Twitter, you can run short on characters, or it just doesn't seem appropriate to mention the master builders in that post. Well, you can also tag us in the photo. So people will only see that if they mouse over the photo and look for it. But the important thing is that MBA is going to see that right in our notifications. We're going to see that there's a relevant post, take a look at it, see if it's something that we should be sharing, and then do so. And if you're not attaching a photo, maybe it's just a link, you can also comment on your own post and let us know, hey MBA, check this out, so that we know that we can make that share. I've already talked a good bit about the member spotlights, but I'll just close by saying, when you receive a content request and we say, we have you set for March 11th, we'll let you know that well in advance. Make sure you're responding to that request in a timely manner so that we can get it into the content calendar. So that concludes my presentation for today. Our goal has been to keep, through this process, to keep these really short. We want to keep them under 15 minutes. It looks like I've done that. It's now 10:14. I believe I started a minute late. So we also reserve about 15 minutes for questions. I highly doubt we're going to have 15 minutes worth of questions, but if you haven't already typed any questions you have into the chat, please do so now. And also, just one final promo, we have sessions 2 and sessions 3 scheduled for April 8th and May 13th. You'll be set calendar requests for calendar invites for those so that you can lock those in following each event. So Mary, do we have any questions today?
There are no questions, Eric.
Okay, well, I'll take that as a compliment that you understood everything that I was saying today. I hope that it was helpful. If any questions do come up, whether you're watching this right now live or you watch a recording later, you can always email me at estarkowitz@mbawpa.org. I know I said that really fast, but it's on our website. So I look forward to any questions that you do have, and we'll see you back here on April 8th and May 13th. Thanks a lot.